To the Centennial High School graduating class of 2009, congratulations. I tell you what though, that was a tough act to follow. Mr. Sands, congratulations, what a wonderful job. I whispered to, I leaned over and whispered to Dr. Perkins, what are you doing to me? Making me speak after him. And to all the other performers and speakers tonight, to Chloe, what a wonderful speech. Let me say to the Board of Education members who are here, thank you for everything you do, especially to Larry Cohen, who, for those of you who don't know, was my... You know, I shouldn't do that. It just boosts his ego. He was my high school vice principal when I was a student at Centennial High School. And to the superintendent staff who are here, thank you for everything you do to make our system the wonderful system that it is. To Dr. Perkins and to your staff, congratulations and thank you for everything you do to make Centennial High School one of the best high schools in the United States of America. Thank you, Dr. Perkins and staff. And on a personal note, let me just say how pleased I am to see you back at Centennial as principal. For those of you who may not have known, I'm a very proud graduate of Centennial High School, 1992, and it's a tremendous honor to be back here at my alma mater to be asked to say a few words. I went onto the CHS website over the weekend and counted 12 other teachers who are still teaching, who were teaching when I was a student. And to each of you, I want to thank you for everything you've done for me, even those of you who I didn't have. Thank you for everything that you did. I did see a couple of them I want to single out. I did see Mr. Mike Siegert here earlier. I want to thank you for helping me. You got some popular teachers. I want to thank you for everything you did to help me get through math. Of course, if I would have known that 17 years later I would have had to have balanced a $1.4 billion budget in the worst economy that we've seen in a generation, I might have paid a little more attention in class. I want to also single out the social studies department. To Mrs. Linda Blakesley, who I know is here, I want to wish you great luck and congratulations on your retirement. This community will miss you, and I want to thank you personally for everything you did to inspire me to believe that together, through our democracy, we can create a better community. So thank you. And to Rod McCaslin, I don't know if he's here, but to thank you as well for... And I was thinking, even the teachers who I didn't have in social studies, like Jim Hill was my basketball coach at Centennial. And for those of you who may not have believed, I actually played basketball. I did. I was our point guard. I was not our center. Although our center was only 3 inches taller than me, which is probably why we weren't as good as we could have been. I also want to recognize my friend Bruce Smith, who I know is here somewhere. I want to congratulate Bruce also on his retirement, and although I did not have him, he was a friend then and is a friend today. And in fact, I saw him just the other day, and it reminded me that he was the graduation speaker at my graduation 17 years ago. And so when I saw him, I asked him if he by any chance had the tape of the graduation, and he did. And so I borrowed it, and I watched it yesterday. Luckily, we still have one VCR in our house, so we were able to pop the VHS tape in. And I have to tell you, I'm the big shoes to fill matching that speech. So, and I'll mention him in a few moments. But again, thank you to the staff for everything that you do. And to all the parents and family members of graduates who are here tonight, thank you for everything that you have done to get your students to this day. Congratulations, and students, a round of applause for parents and teachers, and parents and family members. And lastly, to the graduates, again, congratulations. You have earned this day. Your hard work and perseverance have brought you to this day. Again, congratulations. And now, now is just the beginning. We need you to go out in the world and make a difference. And I know that sounds like every cliche at a high school graduation, and Believe me, I've probably heard them all since I come to every high school graduation, and this is my third today. But it's not a cliche, and I want to give you a couple examples of what I mean by the fact that each one of you can leave your mark on this world, and in fact, we need you to. In fact, I learned the power of one person making a difference from another Centennial High School graduate, my younger brother, Doug, who when he was 19 years old was first diagnosed with cancer. And when he was looking for support groups, for support services, for other young adults to talk to about what he had been through, he couldn't find any. And so one day he came home and asked my mom and then my dad and me if we could start this project. If we could create a nonprofit that would offer young adults all over the country support services that he didn't have. So rather than complain about it, he went about and we created this nonprofit, the Ulman Cancer Fund for Young Adults, so that no one would have to go through what he did. The Ulman Cancer Fund was created and helped thousands of people around the country in dealing with the fight on cancer. At a speech in Chicago a few years later, Lance Armstrong saw him speaking and asked him to move to Austin and help him with his newly created foundation. And 10 years later, he's the president and CEO of the Lance Armstrong Foundation, helping to lead with Lance the fight on cancer. One person making a difference. Another example just happened locally within the last year. In our health department, we've been working very hard to get access to affordable care to those people in our community, those of our neighbors who don't have it. And one day, the folks in the health department were debating, how can we find the folks in our community who do not have health insurance? And they realized that it's complicated. If you make 300% of the federal poverty level or below, you may not qualify, but your children will qualify for health insurance. And there are thousands of folks who qualify but don't know about it. And then when they were brainstorming how to find these folks, there was one young man in the room, a 22-year-old, first year out of college, named John Margolick, and he kind of chimed in, kind of meekly, and he said, well, why don't we ask the comptroller's office? And keep in mind that everyone else in that room was older than John, made more money than John, and had more degrees than John. In fact, most of the people in that room had doctor before their name. But not one of them had ever thought to go to the Maryland comptroller's office and ask him to send a letter to those in our community who make that 300% of poverty level or below. And so they said, wow, it sounds like a good idea, let's try it. And they did, and the comptroller sent a letter, and within a few weeks, there were 1,000 children in Howard County. Think about that, 1,000 children who didn't have access to a doctor who now do. That's 3 times the size of your graduating class because one guy, John Margolick, decided to speak up. And not only was it such a great idea, that helped us get locally children locally covered, but the state of Maryland thought it was a good idea, passed a law, and now the comptroller has to do that in every jurisdiction in the state of Maryland. So in fact, John is now responsible, or will be, for thousands and thousands of children getting health insurance. One person making a difference. And